David Martinez walked out of the building for the last time on a Tuesday afternoon. No box of belongings, no goodbye from anyone, just a security badge left at the front desk and the sound of the door closing behind him. He had worked there for 6 years, and in 6 minutes, it was over. The reason? He did something his manager called unprofessional, something the company policy didn't allow. He helped someone. David was the kind of person you didn't notice until you needed something. A pharmacy technician at a chain drugstore in a neighborhood that had seen better days. The kind of job where you show up, do your shift, and go home. Nothing glamorous, but it mattered to him. He had a daughter, 9 years old, soccer on Saturdays, school supplies he saved up for every August. The job wasn't perfect, but it was stable, and stability was everything. His coworkers knew him as the guy who stayed late when someone called in sick. The one who remembered customers by name, Mrs. Chen with the arthritis medication, Mr. Bailey who picked up insulin every 2 weeks and always joked about the weather. Small things, the kind that don't show up on a performance review, but they mattered to the people who noticed. It happened on a Wednesday evening. The store was almost empty. David was restocking the shelves near the pharmacy counter when he heard the bell at the register. A woman stood there, mid-40s maybe, holding a prescription slip. Her hands were shaking slightly. He walked over. "Hi, how can I help you?" She slid the paper across the counter without looking up. Antibiotics for her son. The infection had gotten worse, she explained quietly. The doctor said he needed to start them tonight. David scanned the prescription, checked the insurance. Then he saw the price, $218. The insurance had denied it. Pre-authorization required. It would take 3 days to process. "I'm sorry," he said gently. "The insurance isn't covering this right now. We can contact your doctor tomorrow to—" "I don't have 3 days." Her voice cracked, not loud, just broken. "He's been sick for a week. The fever won't go down. I need this tonight." David looked at the screen, then at her, then at the medication sitting on the shelf behind him. Policy was clear. No prescription gets dispensed without payment or approved insurance. No exceptions. The system flagged everything. His manager had reminded the staff just last month after someone got written up for a similar situation, but he also knew what an untreated infection could do to a child. He glanced toward the back office. His manager was on a phone call. The other technician had gone home an hour ago. David took a breath. "Let me see what I can do." He manually adjusted the quantity, split the prescription, reduced it to a 3-day starter supply. The system allowed it as a temporary emergency override, but it required manager approval within 24 hours. He'd figure that part out tomorrow. The new total, $43. She could afford that. She looked at him like he had just saved her life. Maybe, in a way, he had. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you so much." He handed her the bag. "Make sure he finishes all of it, even if he feels better. And call the doctor tomorrow about the authorization." She nodded, and then she was gone. David logged the override, documented it as a clinical emergency, and went back to restocking the shelves. He thought that was the end of it. The next morning, his manager called him into the office. The door closed. The tone was cold. "You overrode a prescription yesterday without approval," David explained. "The child, the infection, the 3-day supply as a bridge. Everything by the book, just pending the authorization." His manager didn't even look at him. "You violated company policy. You dispensed medication without verified payment. You made a decision that wasn't yours to make. But the kid needed—" "That's not the point, David. The point is we have protocols. If everyone just did what they thought was right, we'd have chaos. We'd have liability. We'd have losses." There was a pause. "I'm going to have to let you go." David stared. "You're firing me for helping a sick child?" "I'm terminating your employment for policy violation. You signed the handbook. You knew the rules." That was it. No appeal, no second chance. Just a severance check for 2 weeks and instructions to return his badge. He walked past the pharmacy counter on his way out. The other techs avoided eye contact. Nobody said anything. Not one person. The weeks that followed were quiet in the worst way. David applied to other pharmacies, but the termination showed up on his record. Policy violation. Every interview ended the same way. A polite smile. We'll be in touch. And then nothing. His savings ran dry by the second month. He started taking odd jobs, grocery store stocking, delivery driving, anything that paid. But it wasn't steady, and it wasn't enough. His daughter asked why he didn't work at the pharmacy anymore. He told her he was trying something new. She didn't ask again. At night, lying awake, he replayed the decision over and over. Not because he regretted it. He didn't. That child needed medicine. He'd make the same choice again. But the weight of it pressed down anyway. Why does doing the right thing cost so much? 3 months later, David was working a weekend shift at a hardware store. Minimum wage, no benefits. But it was something. He was restocking paint supplies when someone approached him. "Excuse me, do you know where I can find wood stain?" David looked up. The man was older, late 60s, well-dressed but not flashy. Calm eyes, the kind of person who seemed like they'd seen a lot and didn't need to prove anything. "Aisle 7, left side, middle shelf." "Thank you." The man started to walk away, then stopped. "You're David, aren't you?" David froze. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" The man smiled. Not smug, just knowing. "Not exactly, but I know you." They stood there for a moment, David confused, the man patient. "I'm Richard Calloway. I own a few businesses in the area, clinics mostly, community health centers." David nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. "A few months ago, my daughter came into a pharmacy where you worked. Her son, my grandson, had an infection. She didn't have the money for the medication." David's chest tightened. "You helped her anyway." The silence between them felt heavy. "She told me what you did, how you found a way, how you didn't make her feel small, and I wanted to meet the person who made that choice." David didn't know what to say. I'm glad he's okay." Richard nodded. "He is, thanks to you. But I also heard what happened after, that you lost your job." David looked down. "Yeah. Well, that's how it goes sometimes." "No," Richard said quietly. "That's not how it should go." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. "I'm opening a new clinic in 3 months. We need someone to run the pharmacy. Someone who understands that healthcare isn't just about policies and profits. It's about people." He held out the card. "I'd like that person to be you." David stared at the card. "I don't understand. You're offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a role, head pharmacist, full benefits, salary that actually reflects the work, and a place where doing the right thing doesn't get you fired." David's voice cracked. "Why me?" Richard looked at him for a long moment. "Because I spent 30 years in healthcare, built a career, made money, did everything by the book, and somewhere along the way, I forgot what the point of it all was." He paused. "My daughter reminded me, and you reminded her, that the point isn't the system. It's the people the system is supposed to serve." He extended his hand. "I've been looking for someone who still remembers that, and I think I just found him." David felt something break open in his chest. Not pain, something else. Relief. Disbelief. The kind of feeling you get when you've been holding your breath for so long, you forgot what air felt like. "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll think about it." But David didn't need to think. He shook Richard's hand, and for the first time in months, he felt like maybe the world wasn't as cold as it seemed. 3 months later, David stood behind the counter of the new clinic pharmacy. Different uniform, different building, same hands that prepared medications with care. A mother came in with her child, worried, overwhelmed, holding a prescription she wasn't sure she could afford. David smiled. "Let me see what we can do." Because that's what the place was built for, not to follow rules blindly, but to remember why the rules existed in the first place, to help people. Richard was right. The system doesn't reward kindness, but sometimes the people who've been through the system do, and maybe that's enough. David learned something those months, something he couldn't have known standing in that corporate pharmacy on the day he was fired. Kindness doesn't always protect you, but it does leave a mark on the people who receive it, on the people who witness it. And sometimes, when you least expect it, that mark comes back, Not as a reward, not as justice, just as a reminder that you were seen, and that what you did mattered, even when it felt like no one was watching. Someone was.